Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. Do you realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world? Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Try that. This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with some audio now. And I've got Richard, VK7 ZBX, in the studio.
G'day.
Welcome, Richard.
Thank you very much.
Now, just before we get underway, I wish to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the knowledge and the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. Now, the reason why I've got Richard in the studio is Richard's been doing some very specky stuff with Earth, Moon, Earth.
Yeah, been doing a bit of contesting.
Excellent.
Because why not?
So which contests are we talking?
Well, we had the I think we might have covered it the other week, the ARRL EME Contest, which is done over 2 weekends.
Okay.
And they break it up. I think they have 2.3 gigs and up.
Okay.
For 2 weekends, and then they have 50 megs to 2.3 gigs.
That's how they split it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you were at 10 gigs in the 2.3 and above?
Yes, that's correct. So I'm only obviously active on 10 gigs. There was some of the guys were having a contact on 10 gigs and saying, I'll meet you on 5.7, and then 3.4, and then 2.4.
And work your way down.
And then would you like to try 24? It's like, yeah, okay.
Okay. Some people have some very impressive setups.
Oh, look, they do. And look, it's the situation for the ARRL contest is they always time it so that the declination is very north. So it was as far north as it gets. It was 28 degrees north. So
not good for the south though.
Well, so the lunar degradation was as bad as it gets, like minus 2.3 dB, and the spreading on the first day was like 260 hertz. Like that's as bad as it gets. So,
can WSJT deal with that?
It does.
You are kidding me.
It does. And you know, I worked on the first day. I worked 3 stations.
Yeah.
And on the second day, I worked 3 stations. There's a bit of a thing about working 6 stations in a contest on EME. But anyway.
Okay.
But again, you know, some of the signal reports you can work. You know, like with 20 watts, people are giving you like minus 17.
Oh no, well, sure.
Which is like I was giving some of those guys like.
Charlie, single digits?
Yeah, like the Russian guy last weekend was probably the toss up between him and Charlie. They were minus 4, minus 3, and the Beacon was minus 7, minus 8. So, but you know, they could hear me. So it was really.
Well, you could hear tones at that sort of level.
Oh. I was just saying to the boys out there, I worked a new initial Guy F2 CT.
Okay.
And it was his sort of first time on, and there was a few issues he was having with getting his 9700 to do the Doppler shift.
Okay.
So he was using his own echo. So the own echo mode in WSJTX is used for when you want to do your own echo test. Okay. So it calculates the Doppler for you.
Okay.
And it swaps it around. Obviously, you send a 2.5 second burst, then it swaps the Doppler and listens, and then swaps it back. And so he was using that. He was basically saying he was listening on his own echoes, which is, I think, pardon my, I don't do the CW, but I think that's how the CW guys do it. They basically call, and then they listen for their own echoes. So then, obviously, you
I know, well and truly. Yeah. Well and truly. And you've got that advantage of the 2.6 seconds.
That's right. So this guy was calling, and of course people are like, oh, so whereabouts are you? So you sort of got the control button down and sort of churning the thing, and of course he was calling on the even minutes and like, oh, gotta wait. And then you'd wait and you'd tune a bit more and you go, oh, and he was really loud. You just see these white dots appear on the waterfall. It's like, oh, yep, I reckon that's him.
That'll be him.
And once we got it all worked out, and I actually changed the Doppler mode to correct for DX Doppler, so you put his grid square in.
Okay.
Once we found him, it was great, and like, you know, we had a contact, which was great.
Okay.
But it's like, oh, just.
So who did you work in the ARRL contest, and who did you work in the Russian?
Look,
contest?
pretty much the same people, the usual suspects that are on the really capable stations. You know, the OK1 KRs, OK2AQ, OK1 DFC. He wasn't on the Russian one. He was off playing the Expedition.
Okay.
But then I worked Paulo C22 GUR,
okay,
who's always sort of clean for a contact. And I worked a Russian guy, UA5Y.
Oh, okay.
He was on the ARRL one as well.
Okay.
And I worked him. There was one of his mates went to his station for the Russian one.
Okay.
And I also worked Charlie as well, DL3 Whiskey Delta Golf.
He's sporting his German course on.
Yeah. He's Colossus.
Our used to be UK power amplifier man.
Yes. But he's been tinkering around with some stuff. He's playing with a system where he was saying on the forum that he wants to be able to transmit and receive on 2 bands at once.
Okay.
So it could be interesting. I think he's playing.
So what? Dual frequency horn.
Yeah, and he wants to do 23 centimetres and 3 centimetres at once.
Okay.
So
I'm sure there'll be a Jubis article.
I'm sure anyone can do it. Sure,
now,
Charlie can.
Let's see what we can do with the
some pictures.
I'll get it here somewhere.
Okay.
There we go.
Can we see that on that screen? Okay, that's
I can bring it up. Hang on, I can bring it up on. We really need a bigger doobry there, don't we? Here we go. Now, if I do this, if I do full screen, why isn't that letting me do that?
I should have really put them in order. It was probably a little bit, unless you pop that screen out.
Okay, why is it every time I go to it, pop out the screen, and then I just popped it back in. Sorry about that. That's better. Okay. Now that's pretty blurry, but anyway, what are we looking at here?
Wow, so that's the contact I had. That's an older contact. That's the one with the guys on Market Reef.
Oh, okay.
So that's OE5VRL. I think it was.
Okay.
So that was the guys on Market Reef, which was a bit of a de-expedition we had a few weeks ago now. But
okay.
I was pretty happy to work them, and they were pretty happy to get a VK7 in the log.
Wow. Okay.
So that's. Unfortunately, I couldn't work on 123 centimetres, but on that occasion, that was the first and only 23 centimetre licence that was going to be granted, because now they've lost 23 centimetres.
Wow, that's pretty special.
So there was quite a lineup for that.
Okay.
So this, what was the date of this? This was the 15th. So this was the the RD weekend, was it?
EME, ARRL EME,
Yeah.
August 2023.
So that's a few shots of the beacon.
Okay.
And then I worked OK2AQ and OK. Wow, that's pretty rainy, isn't it? OK1DFC, OK2AQ. Now, like really good signals, like minus 10, minus 12, minus 15. Like that's sort of pretty good.
It might be a bit better on that screen. This is.
Okay, so that's a picture looking through the rifle scope. When I worked a couple of stations, there was like 2 degrees of elevation.
Right. Okay. That's there we go. 2 degrees of elevation. So just above, that's a tree line, I assume.
Yeah, and that's
there,
like way up, sort of.
Yeah. Okay.
At the back of New Norfolk Way.
Okay.
So this is a relatively nice signal. I was at the one that's on there right now.
No, just hold on until we get it up here. This will be it. There we go. Yep.
Okay, so this one is. Oh, this is a previous contest.
Charlie 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is when I worked Charlie, and you can tell there's some things there minus 9, but if you look at the waterfall, that's
strong signals.
Pretty strong signal.
And then there's Charlie 2. This is Charlie 2, just about to come up.
Yep.
Got quite a delay on the streaming, so just bear with us on this one. Here we go. Yep. And Charlie 2.
Yep. So it just goes
quite a bit more.
Yep.
Oh.
That's this is where Tricky decided to be clever.
Okay.
For the ARRL contest to try and work some moonrise and work the Americans. So.
Right.
As you know, Justin, where my dish normally lives, it's not very good for moonrise. So I found a spot, identified a spot where I thought, this will be really good. So with the help of a couple of other hams and my good wife, we expended a significant amount of energy to get the dish over into this new spot. And lo and behold, at 4 o'clock in the morning when it was moonrise, I've got down there and I'm like, I can't see anything. What the hell's the go? Oh, there's a tree in the way.
There's a tree in the way.
And to add insult to injury, there was another tree where I could normally have a clear view into Europe. So it's like, really, the circus music was playing at full volume.
Benny Hill, yeah.
So that was all very exciting, but it's amazing. I was getting decodes of the beacon looking through that tree.
Okay. Now, Echo 2. Is this one?
So this is one from the 25th of June this year.
Okay.
And you can tell that the spreading there was 194 hertz. So this shows you the spreading over there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's WSJTX is really clever. Apparently, it's supposed to, when it gives you these echo figures, it's supposed to calculate for the spreading.
Okay.
Supposed to allow for the spreading. So I think in a perfect world, if you get an echo figure of like that one's minus 17 dB,
yep,
then when the spreading's much better, you should still get minus 17 dB because it's supposed to allow for it all. But there's only the lunar degradation, I suspect, that can make sort of.
Actually, that's even more. That's
206. Yeah.
206. Yeah. So huge.
But it's pretty nice to be able to sort of see that. It's a really nice confidence, but you can sort of feel happy that you can call somebody because you do these echo tests first and you go. Normally, whenever you rock up to play Moonbounce, you go, oh, sweet. You look through the camera and you go, it's black. So my first question is, did I leave the welding lens in front of the rifle scope?
Yeah, for the sun.
Normally you walk out there and you go, no, it's not. And you go, it's cloudy and I can't see the moon. And like last weekend, it was a new moon, so illumination was only like 1.2%.
Not much at all.
So you've got to wait till like that period just after sunset.
Yep.
That obviously you can't see the sun, but it
bit in between.
off, yeah. And it's like, oh, there it is. So
cool. High spreading and degradation.
Yeah, so that was another one that's 216. No, that's 216.
216, 215. Yeah, okay. It's pretty specky software, you know.
And you can actually look at the width across the bottom where it comes up. You can obviously you've got your centre point. But,
Yep.
So this was from August the 20th. This was from last weekend.
Russia. Yeah.
So this was the Russian EME contest.
Okay.
So there's a few shots there of the in green are the DL0 SHF beacon.
Okay.
Then there's one in there. The green line in the middle is Guy F Foxtrot 2 Charlie Tango.
Okay.
Who I decoded him at -12. So then I worked him. Then I took a couple of guys to work him. Then I worked OK2AQ, worked Charlie again, and then I think worked Paul CT2GUR again. So,
Fantastic.
but like really all good signals. There was nothing. I think the worst one there was
Well, you certainly wouldn't call it marginal signals.
No, I don't think there was anything. There was certainly nothing above -20.
Yeah.
So
Okay. High spreading echoes, 19th of August.
okay, so that's 243 hertz of spreading. So.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, you can see how it's not quite a sharper point. You can sort of see how wide the spreading is based on the
Okay.
heading at the top.
Okay.
But still, nonetheless, it's reinforcement
Still.
that it's working.
Well and truly. Hello.
Hello. Ron reports very low audio on the RF.
Great. Well, he can continue to report that. Thanks.
So that's another shot where I was actually working some people. I actually called CQ till it went below the horizon.
Right.
And actually had a contact at that elevation.
Right. Okay.
So
Just skimming the clouds.
I believe
the
that
trees.
I believe that was under a degree.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's like the satellite stuff that we used to play with.
No,
where
that's
the program's telling you that it's well below the horizon, but you're still making contact with it.
that's right. I think you still got a little bit of sort of ground gain because quite often the signals will sort of come up quite a lot, but only for a sort of short time.
Yeah.
That was back in that was July the 21st. I'm not sure if we've rolled back around to our first one.
Something contest. No, that's maybe we have. Oh no. Oh, this is the next one is the island.
Oh, okay. So that's So that's the one that's sort of coming up shortly.
Yep. In the fullness of time, when the phase of the moon's right. There we go.
So that market reef, just so people have got some context, is where the black squiggly line is pointing to.
Okay.
That's where it is.
And what are we talking? Which countries are on both sides of here?
So we've got Finland over on the right.
Okay.
And Denmark over on the left.
Scandinavian countries.
Yeah.
In a little island in the middle of the channel. Okay.
And I would imagine it gets pretty
cool.
pretty rough. Yeah, pretty cool.
Correct. So now the next one, which should be coming up just shortly.
That was, of course, because of the time. Everybody played Moonbounce over the weekend because in Europe, of course, it was sort of during the day. It was like night time for us, and it's actually a really good time.
Yep.
But of course, on Monday morning, which was sort of Monday night after tea for us, there was nobody on. So I came in and set up all my gear, and it's just so nice to be able to run some cables in the window, plug them in, hit track. Oh, see if there's anyone on. Oh, there's the beacon. Yeah, the beacon looks pretty good.
Correct.
Sit on the logger. Oh, no one on. Call CQ a few times. No one on. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But there was a few good decodes there, sort of
well and
-8 to
truly.
-9. So.
Well and truly. So
But yeah.
now what's next? Oh well, this is the moon. Now we just just as it shows that we're still in the studio and we haven't slinked off for a beer or something. Okay. Now there's the moon.
So that's that was actually the other night when it was only about sort of 20% illuminated. Apologies for the performance of the camera under under low light.
Under stress, yeah.
But look, it just makes it so much easier to be able to see where you're pointing. It's,
I know, well
it's
and truly.
sort of great.
A visual feedback.
Yeah.
Ah, well and truly.
It's amazing how sometimes good things shine upon you when you go, oh, just need to be able to see it for like 2 seconds to just check. And,
there it is.
You know, and you watch out of the corner of your eye and the clouds just part and you go, yep, gotcha.
Lovely.
Some more echoes.
Moon echoes.
I'm not sure.
Some more decodes. We're getting there. We're pedaling fast. We're pedaling.
Carrying the bits in the bucket.
Correct. Oh, there we go.
I'm not sure who that one is. That was
New.
July the 20th.
Yes.
I'm not sure who that was. My apologies. I should have made some show notes, as it were.
Oh no, that's all right. That's okay. Now this is the next one. Oh, we got
the one with the purple is that when I worked at the guy at Market Reef, because he was a new call. I'd never worked him before. So.
Right. Okay. Which have come up in a. There we go. Cool.
Yeah.
And all strong signals. Like that's minus 14.
Yeah, that's right.
Like that's. Oh my god.
And these guys, you gotta have a bit of time for these fellas that load a heap of stuff into a boat and take it to the middle of nowhere.
Camp.
And then camp. Like just, I was listening to one of the podcasts. They talk to some guys that was at Friedrichshafen, and they some guy had some de-expedition there, and apparently they went to. I didn't understand quite exactly where it was, but it sounded like it was just a piece of rock in the middle of the water that apparently they couldn't sit on. They had to climb up this rock. So they had guys that were rock climbers, that they would tie the boat up to it, and these guys would put anchors into the rock, and they would climb up to the top. And apparently it was only a few metres high. It wasn't 20 or 30 metres high. It was a few metres high, and it was big and flat on top. So they made their camp on the top, and they hauled temporary masts, generators, and tents, and and they were there for like a week. Goodness gracious!
I love it.
That's just.
I love it.
Effort.
That's like what was the BS7, the South China Sea one, where they built the platform, the wooden platform on the top of the reef, which of course is South China Sea, so it's a no-go zone right at the moment. But that was just, it literally sat on this platform.
Pretty much.
I think they boated them in and out each night or something like that, but it just...
But a can-do attitude of like, this is what we need to do. Okay, just bring that over there and...
Correct. Now, race track.
Okay, so that's basically a double shot showing what the race track looks like. That's
We're getting there.
On the screen. Oh, hang on. You've just got us.
We're still talking on there. Oh, there we go.
There we go. So that's a VNC screen of the controller, which obviously runs on a Raspberry Pi, which is sitting out in a box next to the dish.
Fantastic.
And that you can obviously just sort of hit the auto button and it goes, and then run the browser with the camera view.
Fantastic. We've got a very, very small one. So this is the new...
No, that might be the Market Reef one again, because it's the purple.
Okay. Here we go. There we go.
But again, look, some really big signals.
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, what are we looking at here?
This is another low angle. This is another... I think this was 0.5 of a degree.
Ooh, yeah, okay. So even lower.
Yeah, and one of the guys called me and said, I'd like to make a contact, but I see you only have half a degree. And I said, oh, you call. So we called and I made the contact.
Great.
Okay, I'll take that.
Hey, well and truly.
So,
Well and truly. Now.
That might be...
We've looped.
I think we might have looped.
Hang on, we'll just make sure. We're still making sure. We're working on it. We're working on making sure.
Check 1, 2.
Russian contest, 29th of August. No, I don't think we've had that one, have we?
20th of August. Oh, okay, that might have been... Oh, that was the one from Sunday. No, that we had that one because that's got
Yes,
the French guy.
yes, the French guy.
Yeah.
Okay, no. Excellent.
Yes, so that was...
That's excellent, Rich.
Look, it
That is
it
fantastic.
never ceases to amaze me really how much fun you can have with 20 watts. And you know, as I said I posted a bit on Facebook, as you probably saw. So I have to give a shout out to my wife, who, under extreme duress, it's like, so I need to move my dish back. It's sort of like after the sort of look of, you need to what?
Yeah,
After all the effort we went to put it over there,
Yeah,
well, baby,
right.
it's like this. I can't see the moon when I need to. So, when we moved it from its original place to the supposed new place, I had
Okay.
some pneumatic tyres that let me down, so we had to swap them over for some smaller diameter hard tyres. So we can imagine how well that went.
Yeah,
for
that
the
don't,
reverse
that
journey.
don't go over rough
Or
rough
soft
terrain.
dirt or anything like that.
Well and truly.
So there's lots of comments made after it was finally jacked into position. It's like, it's not moving right.
Yeah, it's staying right where it is. Right where it is.
But I'll need to come up with a plan to probably use over by my garage,
Okay.
because that's got a good spot for moonrise. So if I set up some skids, I could probably drag it over and just sort of set it up there.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but,
No, well, fantastic.
no, it's
Effort.
been good fun.
And VK7's in the EME contest, so hey.
Well, look, you know, I made 6 contacts, and I think some of them said they made 50. You know, but
Yeah.
by the same token, it was set to the time of the day where they were just sort of getting out of bed and sort of getting around.
And it was
And
best
of course,
for them.
by the time they got to the middle of the day, the moon was at like 60 degrees.
Yeah.
So, you know, they had all day effectively, where we only had,
Correct.
you know, an hour or two. And I think I worked a few more on the second time, because they're like, oh, are you going to be on tomorrow? It's like, oh, the contest finishes tomorrow. So I'm like, oh. So,
Yeah.
but no, look, it's good. It's good to
And
get amongst it.
and per capita, there's a whole lot of more EME operators in Europe and
Oh, that's the thing, you know, like some of these guys were saying that they could work each other terrestrially.
right.
So in, you know, in
Turn their
Europe,
dish all the way down.
well, some of these guys are obviously microwave,
Yeah.
sort of terrestrial guys as well, and
Yeah,
some
yeah.
of them have worked lots of these other people, yeah, sort
Line of sight.
of line of sight.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, I suppose it's line of sight really. When you do EME, it's just line of sight via the moon.
yeah, just a bit more
Yeah.
attenuation.
If you can
Suppose.
you both have to see the moon to be able to do it. So yeah.
But,
Okay.
but
All
it
right.
was good fun.
Now stick around, because
Stick around.
you're welcome to stick around, or you're welcome to go. If you pass me the said basket.
Said basket.
Ooh. I was just one of the. Now I've sort of shown this before. Actually, you've seen that before as well.
I have.
Now we can put that basket back.
Okay.
One of the things I've actually managed to get going actually, and I can probably if we do that was a bit of a rough rough transition, but anyway, this is Dave Trewren's G7 IYK's magnetic loop tuner. Now, this is available on Instructables. He puts all this stuff on Instructables. Hell of a nice guy. Fantastic support from him. And it's been, can I just say, it's been a little bit trying, and I'll go into an aspect of it being a little bit trying, and it's nothing to do with Dave. It's all to do with fake chips. But it's been a little bit trying getting this up and going. But finally got it up and going. Basically, if you have a look, what he's done is there's a PIC controller, I/O extender. There's the display here, the 4-line display. there is a precision SWR bridge here, and there is a DDS, so a digital synthesizer here, RF synthesizer here for the HF bands, a bit of an optocoupler, the antenna relay, and then you've got your antenna and your transceiver here. You've got your stepper motor for your variable capacitor, so that controls that. This board is created such that this could be a stepper motor or it can be a DC motor. I'm using a DC motor, so this is a little H bridge IC that enables you to change the polarity. So that's really nice. Or you can put a stepper motor driver in there. Few little buttons that you can control the menus on here. There is a USB port over here, so you can actually control it via. There's a little PC application that you can control it by. There's an optical encoder just here that you can the alternate to a pot, a little optical encoder that gives you the ability to do some of the functions. And also, what this does normally is it's a toggle function. So it enables you just to toggle the motor, the vacuum capacitor motor, forward or back, like just a little bit as you do your tuning. But so the way that it works is and I'll try and do this a little bit better. That was a much nicer transition, wasn't it? Much better. So the way that it actually works is when you first turn this on, you can go into find your loop mode, and what it does is you put in the parameters of your loop, so the minimum and maximum frequency. What it does is a very quick, you can hear the relay click out, so it's disconnected from the transceiver, and it does a scan from the top to the bottom of the frequencies that you've put in, finds where the loop is currently tuned, and stops. And then what you then can do, either through the USB interface or on the screen, is you put in the frequency that you want to put the loop at. You want the loop to go to. It works out that it's got to do the right thing to the capacitor, either put a negative or a positive voltage on here. You then start seeing it change, and it goes to the frequency that you want. And then from there you can do the toggle on here or all that sort of stuff. And once it's done that, it switches everything back into circuit so that your radio is connected to the loop. So it really nice, works really well. I have to say, works really well. But one of my real frustrations with this was I bought the board and the pick from Dave, pre-programmed pick, which is fantastic, and the board he sends them over for next to nothing, which is I think he can probably charge more for that, but and then I got all the other components together and populated the board. When I got to there's a little test routine you go through with the SWR bridge, setting that up. There's a couple of multi-turn pots here to enable you to set it up, and that's to set up the pick has a couple of A to D inputs.
Yep. So you calibrate those.
So you calibrate those, and you do that through these little multi-turn pots. Fantastic. I couldn't get anywhere near the value that I needed, and Dave did some fantastic troubleshooting remotely, gave me some crow screen grabs on what sort of levels, and I very quickly realised that neither the 602s, which are the op amps, or the balanced mixer, which is the other IC which are here, were actually working properly. The DDS was putting out its signal, that was all happy, but these chips were not. I then got some more 6002s. They didn't work either. Now Sean, I have to say, shout out to Sean here around the any 6 612s, the little balanced mixers. He managed to get, and can I just say, originally I got these ICs just off of eBay, and I went, that was the mistake I made, and I'll go into that in a sec. That was the mistake I made. So I actually got some from, I think it was either RS or Element 14. So reputable distributors. The ones that I got from RS didn't work, like the ones before. I got another lot, and I think I might have gone to Element or one or the other. Anyway, I went to the other ones. They worked, and I went, okay. So I know there's working. Sean managed to get, now the 612s are actually really hard to get. These are old. These are already obsolete ICs. But he managed to get some surface mount ones and come up with these really cute little. In fact, we might zoom in.
Oh, so Sean made that, did he?
No. Well, he made the little
riser board sort of
the
thing.
little riser boards, the little
wow.
motherboards. Now let me do that. Oh, hang on. Let me come back a step. Here's these little daughter boards or riser boards. They have little pins on them which convert the surface mount output pin outputs to the actual 8-pin dual in-line outputs.
Wow.
And he gave me one, and he said, "Oh, try this." And so I tried it, and guess what? It worked.
Wow.
It actually worked, and I could use the multi-turn pot to do the calibration. He then managed to get me another one, fantastic, and we were away. And it actually, the other issue that was a design issue, and Dave was very apologetic about it. The driver for the relay, he actually was using the optocoupler output, which was not quite enough current, and the relay sounded as if it was clicking, but it wasn't actually making contact. So there is a little FET modification on the back of the board which I made. Small mod which makes that switch more positively. So fantastic. Now when I realised that these chips that are out there on the net and people are buying, and it's not an unusual, when I started to dig into it, it's really, really not an unusual situation.
Transistors, I think, is another basket of goodness.
So I started to look into this, and there is lots of material, and in fact there are associations, electronics industry associations, mostly out of America, that is monitoring this sort of stuff, and it is just horrific. There's actually in 2020 apparently there was a crash of an F-16 jet, and it came down. It actually killed the pilot, and it came down to the ejector seat sequencer not working properly.
Oh, really?
And when they actually did the analysis of the ejection seat electronics, they were fake chips. They didn't work.
Nice.
So that's one very obvious thing. But
how would you ever know?
How would you ever know? Well, when you start looking into it, this whole thing about counterfeit chips, there are a whole lot of different types of counterfeit chips out there, and the list, I'll show you the list, and we'll go through it. Oh, hang on, we might need to zoom out a little bit there.
Zoom.
Zoom a little bit more. So all the different types of counterfeit chips. There's the unauthorized copy. So an organisation who can make chips takes either through, espionage or stealing or whatever else, and makes some unauthorized copies of an IC. It doesn't chips that don't conform to the original manufacturer's design, model or performance standard, but they're labelled up as any 612s or whatever. It's not produced by the original manufacturer or its authorised contractors, so all of a sudden you're seeing this source coming from another source that never has produced these chips. It's off specification, already used, defective or misleadingly labelled as new in big inverted commas, and it's incorrectly marked or has the wrong documentation. So that's what they class as counterfeit chips, and estimated to be a more than $7 billion a year issue.
Goodness.
There is substantial amounts of money being spent on this sort of stuff. Surprise, surprise, it's the main chips which seem to fall into this sort of issue area is the 11 cent to $10 range chips, which of course is the vast majority of chips that are produced. Some are much more expensive and some are really cheap. So okay, that's not
Just like the old FDDI shuffle with.
well, and that's exactly right, and that's a good example of if you got a good
one, it just doesn't work.
It just doesn't work, or if you get one, it is exactly that issue. Another issue that they documented was there was a Poseidon P8A, which is basically I think a 737 rebadged, but they had an icing module that basically on the wings that would hang down on the wings and tell pilots whether they were the possibility of the wings icing up.
Yeah.
That module stopped working, and when they investigated it, the FPGA chip which is in that module had actually fallen out. And when they went back and checked the batch, the people out of America who sold the FPGA chips had tested like 5 of them.
Yep.
And assumed the rest were okay, but when they looked at them, they were all counterfeit chips. They were actually out of spec and didn't fit the sockets properly, and so the chip fell out.
Yeah, a hot glue gun trick.
Correct. And of course, this is in a bit of kit that you really don't want to fail. And the other thing is recycling is very, very common. Up until 2017, this is interesting. Up until 2017, the Chinese were taking a lot of e-waste and also other waste, plastic waste and all sorts of stuff. 2017 came along and they turned around and said, we're not doing this anymore and we're not taking the world's rubbish. So, okay, from 2017 sort of up to 2017 and through and on into sort of a few years after 2017, a lot of that grey market ICs were all coming out of China, and one of the things they were doing was they were taking the e-waste, getting the ICs out of the e-waste, not testing them or anything,
Just reselling them.
but the way that they get them out is they heat up those boards to reasonable temperatures and bang them out of the boards, and then rebadge the chips as if they're new, and then not test them, and then put them into the market. And so it's luck of the draw as to whether you get an IC that even works. And the other way is, and this is more, I suppose this is more the espionage and the 007 sort of stuff, is where they employ a foundry, a silicon foundry, to actually produce the ICs. And those silicon foundries produce a whole lot more ICs than what they ever use. And the foundries or companies around those foundries then on-sell the chips that may or may not be up to spec, or they're tested out of spec, and so they go in a bucket and then they're sold off cheap or whatever. So there's a whole lot, and there's very little supply chain evidence on the way through, so you don't know where it's
mass
coming
produced
from.
and like, who's going to be checking 11-cent chips?
Correct. And that Poseidon, the FPGA example, those 50 came from a company in California, but when they actually searched into where they had actually come from, they'd come out of China. So, and they'd sourced them from China. They had tested 5 of them and not tested all of them. And
cheapest quote wins.
Correct. It's that famous astronaut, I think it was Neil Armstrong, who said, there's a quote, he said, I'm sitting here on basically a washing machine that was created by the cheapest quote. He said, am I confident?
The guys that made the call are all on Earth.
Correct. They're still back there. They're not going to Scary Wheel. So now there are some measures that are now starting to be put in place. They talk about anti-counterfeit measures. They put unique IDs actually inside the chips.
Oh, wow.
They talk about it being a puff. So this physical unclonable feature that they put into the IC. There is also people in the blockchain industry who are talking about using blockchain to actually confirm provenance, all sorts of stuff. But the problem is, this is all being talked about now, not into the future.
That's when you buy your chips for your kit tomorrow. Goodness knows what you
Correct. So, and the thing about this is, fake chips, they made the point, and this has all come from, and I'll put the link to the video where I sourced this information from. This is it was called the Fake Chip Scourge, an Asianometry. Great little podcast about the industry, and an industry podcast. But he makes the point. He said, coming up with fake chip, they can be sold for 100 times what it costs them to source them. So they source e-waste, and they can then sell them for up to 100 times what they bought the use.
They wouldn't bother
Correct.
to do it.
Correct. But the problem is there's no testing that goes on in the middle and all sorts of stuff, you know. So we end up with it's a bit of a luck of the draw sort of stuff. But anyway, so I just thought and this is a real problem, and I've experienced it firsthand.
Well, I replaced the power transistors on the 23cm amp.
Yep. Okay.
Everyone sort of, where do you buy them? And everyone's like, yeah, don't buy it off this guy, and don't buy it off that guy. And one guy's saying that he got these RF power transistors and sold them in, and they didn't work. They were brand new, and they just didn't work.
Well, and Tony has had the same experience, XTC, with power amplifier modules.
Oh, okay.
And he's got a source. Actually, he's got a source in the UK, I think he said, where he has bought old stock that has stood up to the test of time and all of that sort of stuff. So anyway, just phenomenal. And we're talking about, what was it, a greater than $7 billion issue for, and manufacturing companies. We went into COVID and suddenly everything turned to crap because people couldn't source chips, and so people were turning to alternate sources and then being bitten by the fact that the alternate sources ICs were not working. And all this
fell for the hole. If it seems too good to be true,
it probably is.
Yeah.
Probably is. So anyway, so I'll just finish off. I'll remind you that this Friday night from 7:30 p.m. we've got the DATV QSO Party, VK3 BFG. Peter Cousins is organising that. It all centres around VK7 RTV. VK7 RTV. I wish we had an ATV repeater like VK3 RTV, which is absolutely fantastic. And in fact, they're now directly streaming from.
The BATC.
Correct. And that's all built into the repeater. It automatically streams to a BATC when it's up and going and transmitting. So we're going to be joining in on that QSO Party. I understand it's mostly Australia and New Zealand on Friday night, and then it continues on into Saturday, and that is the UK and the US join in as well. Okay. So should be, and we're going to show off the new studio if I can remember how to drive it. So that's Friday night. We will be streaming, and I'll also put up the links to the BATC site. If you go to BATC, you can get to the repeater VK3 RTV, and you'll see the whole thing streamed through VK3 RTV. So you can see it. So yeah, it's that's our program. How are we going for time? Spot on time. Okay.
Look at that.
I love it.
Like you've done it before.
I love it. So, thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Justin.
And it's good night from me.
And good night from him.
And have a fantastic week, and we'll catch you next time.
73.
Cheers.